What's good, everybody? This is episode 3 of Ron and Jack's podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening this far. We are at 91 subscribers right now. We're looking to get to that 100 eventually and keep growing. We think with the more content we give, the more we'll grow. We're going to continue giving you guys new information about what's going on in our lives, in our area, Boston, Massachusetts area, every week. Right now, we are on the top floor of a parking garage at Legacy Place. We just went to King's Bowling in Dedham. If any of you guys have ever been to King's, it's all over the country now. I think they have one in California and everything now, one in Miami. King's is a pretty cool place. We enjoy it. We like going there. I think it's a pretty decent area. We like bowling there. We did darts there today. It was pretty dope.
Yeah, we're not like really into bowling or darts, but we like mess around a little bit.
We like going there, getting a drink or two, and
mess around with the darts.
Messing around on our weekends.
Mess around with the billiards.
But yeah, that's where we're at right now. We get a pretty good view of Legacy Place.
Yeah, where are we right now? We're up on...
We're on the top floor of a parking garage at Legacy Place right now, over the entire shopping mall area here. So that's where we're doing this podcast today. I want to let you guys know that this was not the original podcast we had planned for this week. I'm unfortunately going away. Well, not unfortunately. It's a nice vacation I'm going on for about a week in Maine. So I will be away, and I will be back in time for next week's podcast as well. But we are planning this week to go away to Rhode Island, but also go to Southern Mass and check out Wolf Island Road, which we talked about in our first podcast. That was the podcast that we talked about a lot of haunted roads in Mass. We talked about that road.
I think we referred to it as the Massapoick.
Yeah, it's in Massapoick. It's in Massapoick, Massachusetts. I think that's how it's pronounced. And it's the haunted road that apparently had the car that would disappear. So we ended up talking about the disappearing car that was on. I think it was on like True TV at one point or something. The disappearing car video.
Yeah, but the disappearing car wasn't in.
It wasn't in Massapoick, but there was similar experiences with a car disappearing in there from some kid hit a car or some teen. You can watch that podcast if you want to listen about that.
Yeah, the first one.
The first podcast definitely has a lot about that.
I think Ron found some funny website called like Shadowlands.net or something.
Yep, Shadowlands.net is a very interesting website that has haunted places around Massachusetts, or I think it's any state. I don't think it was just Mass. I think you can type in any state on there. It has a bunch of haunted places you can go to. Definitely check that out, guys, if you guys are into haunted.
I don't know how legit it is.
I don't know how legit it is, but I just wanted to let you guys know what our future plans were for the podcast, and I want to go into my opening thought. It's another funny gym story for you guys.
Yeah, so Ron, don't you actually go to like some crappy gym right now? You pay like $30 a month to go to like one of these, the town recreation center?
Yeah, this is the issue with the gym right now, is that I pay a pretty good amount of money for the gym.
No, actually, I'm sorry. It's a steal. It's $30 for the whole summer.
It's $30 for the entire summer, and it's...
So you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. It's not the best gym, but it has a couple squat racks. You can't say about every gym. Not every gym has a couple squat racks, or has a few benches, too. There's 2 benches and a really crappy decline bench that... If you want to hear a horror story about the decline bench, check out episode 2. Episode 2 has a very funny story about that in the second half of the episode. But
yeah, so it's not like a crappy gym. It was just a gym from like 50 years. No, 50 years is an exaggeration, but like 30 years ago that they never renovated. So it's
pretty old. I think it might even be older than 30 years, but we have to look into that. But it's they never really they renovated it one time. They really didn't do it. They didn't do anything with the weight room in the renovation. That was the big issue with it. But this isn't really a weight room that people that are extremely into bodybuilding.
No, this is just like for high school kids and like
for high school kids and just kids that don't have a lot of money. Just want a gym that isn't.
It's the goddamn town recreation.
It's a town rec center. It's a gym that you go to if like.
This is not Gold's.
It's convenient.
It's
not Gold's gym.
What's the one in the Venice Beach Gold's gym? Mecca.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of Mecca Gold Gym, but
it's a good gym, but
it's not Mecca Gold Gym, okay?
But basically,
what's the story?
I'll tell you the story. So the other day, I'm in there. It's 2 days ago, and there's a bunch of middle schoolers that go in there a lot. And
I thought they were high schoolers or middle schoolers, really?
Actually, I think they might have been. Actually, they were entering their freshman year of high school because I ended up talking to them, and they said they were doing that. and I'm on the exercise bike because I like getting in about 5 to 10 minutes of cardio, like intense cardio, every time I lift. I try to get that, and I try to run at least a mile every day or on the weekends. But so I'm on the bike, and I'm just watching these kids as they're doing their workout, and they have two 10-pound plates.
Oh no, not the dreaded 10-pound plates.
On the straight bench, and I'm just watching what they're doing, and there's this really, really small kid. Like, this kid's really small, man. Like, dude, this kid's extremely small, but he ends up going on the bench, and both of his friends are so-called spotting him.
Are they actually looking at him, like looking to
No.
spot him, or are they just
this
like,
spot,
oh,
I've never seen this kind of spot before. So they're holding on to the edges of the barbell while the kid's benching.
Like on the
edges of the barbell. So
like
they're holding it down. Yes, they're on the sides of the barbell, and they're letting the barbell go down to his chest, and they're helping him lift it down, and then helping him lift it up.
Wait, they're doing the negatives and the positives?
Yeah, and the positives on the barbell.
Because I know there's like the powerlifting, not to be confused with bodybuilding. That's
From episode 2.
Little inside joke to episode 2. But I know in the powerlifting squat, the guy actually, they have like two guys on. You ever see a powerlifting squat?
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, there's like two guys on each side.
That's not what was happening in this scene, though.
But they're only there to. I think they actually do it in yeah, powerlifting. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. What I was going to say. Yeah, in powerlifting meets they do it, right?
They do a lot
on the
of it,
bench.
yeah.
They always have a couple spotters in a powerlifting meet, or like a legitimate powerlifting.
Yeah,
meet,
when you're legitimately lifting, you will have about 2 spotters, like when you're doing max lift powerlifting type drills. But when you're
well, I mean, yeah. Normally you have one spotter.
Yeah.
But the funny part, and it's kind of messed up to say this because you're saying these are like young kids.
Yeah.
Which is
I was trying to help them out too.
But anyways, the funny part is they basically have, it's like mini powerlifting, like little kid powerlifting, basically, because you have the two kids assuming a powerlifting spotting position. Yep. Spotting powerlifting style when it's 210 since like this kid's first day in the gym.
Yeah, and I actually end up talking to the kid, and the kid's like, I'm like, dude, like if you're not like comfortable with benching, you should just hop on the dumbbells and do your lifts like that. Like just start with the dumbbells and then eventually
definitely
work your way to the bench.
Start with like the 15-pound.
And he tells me this quote. I'm quoting this. He says. He's like, yeah, actually, I do a lot of that at home. He's like, I just like coming to the gym and fucking around. Like, with the weights and just, like, fucking around, like, trying to lift max weights and stuff all the time.
Really? Is this really a true part of the story?
Yeah, this is what he said to me. He said that he likes coming to the gym with his friends, just, like, fucking around with weights and just, like, trying to do max weights and just fucking around with the weights. And I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude,
that's the worst idea you could
That's
ever
the
do.
dumbest thing you could do, like,
that's how you kill yourself.
That's how you literally kill yourself, like we were talking about in the episode with the Indian kid in episode 2. Like, when we're talking about that on that episode, like, if you go to the gym and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you can seriously injure yourself, and I think some people just do not understand that. I don't want to try to get into what we talked about episode 2 as much, because we do have a lot to talk about in this episode with, the story that we're about to tell.
Yeah, but
anyways, like, I just wanted to just mention that as my opening thought is, like, damn, when you go to gyms sometimes, you just see some of the most outlandish things. Like, there's always going to be someone there. It doesn't matter what age you are. There's always someone there that does not know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't even, well, I don't really know. I'm not experienced. I'm not the type of guy to ask. But I don't think you should start weightlifting, at a young age. Or at like a really young age, but then I guess people would disagree, like the pro bodybuilder people. Started at like 13. Right?
A lot of people start, like the guy we're gonna talk about today started at 13.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think, like, if you're just an average Joe, like, I don't think you're supposed to start lifting weights like really early.
Hey, you're not. It's I think it's better personally to start at a later age once you acquire more strength, like natural strength,
Or
you start developing your natural build. Because when you're younger,
you hit puberty as the
because when you're younger, your body's still changing. Like your whole physique is still changing. You still have a growth spurt, and like if you're lifting,
you don't have the muscle the muscles yet.
If you're lifting heavy weights before that age, I think you could seriously do some harm to some of the muscles in your body.
Well, if you do them wrong.
If you do them wrong and you're not doing shit correctly and you're overlifting or you're not... Because, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, when you're younger, it's just a natural thing and psychology and stuff is when you're younger, you think you're invincible. Like, you think that you can just get away with anything. You know, like... You don't know your limits as well as when you get older. When you get older, you grow more wisdom, you know, towards like how you're supposed to do things in general, life in general.
Look at that point. But I think because I started lifting. This is just how I feel about lifting when you're young. Like I started lifting around when I was 18, right?
Yeah.
Probably I was like 18 and a half, and I think that was the most perfect time to start lifting. Because I feel like if I started lifting at 16, I don't think I would see the same results immediately as I saw when I was like 18.
Yeah.
Because I think like when you're younger, you really don't see like if you're not, you know, you either have the genetics and you're like ripped in high school. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's like some kids that like have abs in high school because they just have the genetics.
Yep.
But otherwise, if you don't, like you're not gonna, like there's really not big exponential gain if you started lifting in high school than if you just waited 2 years and lifted in college.
Yeah.
Because once you start like making gains, like you notice when you first start working out, or at least for me, like it was very fast progress kind of at the beginning. Or at least for me, like I noticed like progress like.
That's what I noticed too. Was when I started. I probably started lifting a little bit earlier than that because. That's
probably why the only reason I kept lifting is because I saw progress pretty fast. That was just for me.
I played football in high school, and I remember I was lifting, and I just could not lift for shit when I was younger, like probably like 16, 17. I just didn't really have proper form, didn't really care about lifting as much because whenever I lifted, I didn't know the progress that you could build from lifting. Every time I lifted, I wasn't really serious about it, so I didn't really work on hitting different muscles, hitting different exercises, trying different things. And at this point in my life, now that I'm 24, like I see that as I've been lifting for now like 3 years now consistently, like 5 times a week consistently, I've realized that I've had significant growth in my body and have gained significant weight since high school, like significant muscle mass since high school. And so that's just the opening thought we had today. I want to get in a little bit to this story that
I just want to say before that
okay.
Well, I guess I was going to say, like, I could ask you, I want to know, like, some story maybe sometime would be, like, how you actually got into lifting weights. Like, I just want to know that story sometime. But, but I also was going to say I have a little rant that has to do with the gym, and it's also related to this video. It's also related to the next topic we're going to talk about. But I have like a nice little gym thing I want to mention.
So we want to get into that at the rant section of our last 10 minutes of the video. So we'll get into that.
On,
so the story I want to get into today is about Larry Pollock. Pollock, I think. Larry Pollock, right?
Yeah, Pollock.
Yeah, Pollock from he's living in California now, owns a gym.
From what? You're like Larry Pollock from like it was like a TV show?
Yeah.
Larry Pollock from that TV show.
Well, he's from that YouTube video that we watch. I want to give credit to the video that we initially got this info from.
The YouTube video was about him.
Well, think about that. Like no one really knew about this guy until the video. Really, there's not a lot on the internet about him. We already sort of talked about that. But he got involved with steroids. He was lifting since he was 13.
Yep.
He's a bodybuilder.
He's
a power lifter, or bodybuilder.
Yeah, so he was lifting when he was 13. So this was like a good 40 years ago? Maybe not 40 years, like 30 years ago? 30
Well, he was recently, the story that we're getting into happened back in like 04, 05.
Okay.
That's when the police started getting involved in the whole incident.
Yeah.
But
so it's like an oldish story.
Yeah.
So this guy was lifting when he was 13, so he was lifting back in like the 80s, dude? The 90s, the 80s? I don't know. Pretty back. Pretty far back.
The 80s, I would say.
So that's our time setting, right?
Yeah.
So he turns like 21, right?
21 years old, yeah.
So this guy turns 21, and no, I think it was 20 or 21. I don't know, something like that.
Something around there.
So what happens is his girlfriend steals his car. She probably got pissed at him. Or maybe it wasn't her girlfriend, but like some girl that was.
It was a
living
girl that
with
was
him.
living with him.
A girl that was living with him. So this is kind of where there's
Borrows
like,
the car is I
yeah.
think the terms that he used. But
Okay, but this is kind of where there's like holes in the story, or it's not completely filled in. But yeah, but apparently when he was 21 or 20, he was living with a girl, and the girl got pissed at him and stole his car, or she probably said borrowed his car. So he went to go get the car. He thought he knew where she was, so he went to go get the car back from her. And when he got there, she wasn't giving the car back, and made a big scene and called the cops. And the cops showed up, and the cops looked at his car. And when they looked in his car, they found tons of steroids. Boxes of steroids.
Bunch of steroids.
Because this guy was a bodybuilder. God damn it.
He was a bodybuilder.
No,
now we're mixing it up.
No, I'm mixing it up. I'm an idiot now. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because he was a bodybuilder, so he had tons of steroids in his car. And after they saw that, well, back then I guess if you were caught with steroids, it was just a misdemeanor. It wasn't a felony. Like it wouldn't go on your criminal record.
Yeah.
So they were gonna write him up for that. But because of that, they looked further in his car. They looked in the trunk. And this guy, dude, he had a
machine gun.
It was either it was a full machine gun or a submachine gun.
He said it was a machine gun.
I think he had a full on machine gun. He named the brand of it too. I forget what it's called. And they got him for that. They found that machine gun in his trunk, and he said that was the dumbest mistake he ever made as a kid. He
was having one because he didn't
Because who needs a machine gun? No one, even an adult wouldn't normally need a machine gun.
Yeah.
You know? So why do you need?
Which is why my theory in the whole story was that he was involved in more shit than he leads on in the video.
You don't think he was just holding that machine gun because he said he thought it was cool because he saw Arnold Schwarzenegger have one in the Terminator.
We're gonna put the link to the video in the description.
That's a far-fetched story right there.
For all you guys to watch as well, because I think this video is very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
Definitely is an intriguing story. I'll have Jack continue on more of the story here.
No, go ahead. And I thought I was just hoping you didn't let that part. I was hoping you wouldn't leave that part. Just skip to the cartel part.
Okay.
So
I'll get going.
Let me just kill this one. Kill this part of the story. So, anyways, yeah, he's in jail, right? And
jail for a year.
Yeah, and they were charging it. They couldn't figure out. I guess he was so young. He said he didn't know what was going on, and they couldn't figure out what to charge him with.
And he had a horrible lawyer.
Yeah, his lawyer sucked, and they were trying to charge him with murder of someone at Gold's Gym, and
this is what happened in that part.
Very far-fetched stories.
Basically, what happened in that part was he was getting charged with murder because an informant in jail lied about that he killed someone at Gold's Gym. So the cops went back and they looked into Gold's Gym and to see if there was anyone that died at Gold's Gym or something, or killed that worked at Gold's Gym, and no one did. So he ended up not being charged with that.
So eventually the lawyer was actually good enough to wheedle it down from lifetime in prison for tons of weird charges to 12 years. And
he said no.
Pollock said no at first, but then the lawyer was like, "Yo, you have to take this." And then eventually he just took the settlement.
Yeah.
And he did 12 years. And he was talking about, he had a whole long story about these next 12 years. I don't know if you want to go into that or if you want to skip that part.
Well, that's about when he was in prison.
Yeah, in prison.
He didn't talk. Did he talk a lot about that?
He talked enough about it, but we don't have to really go into it. If you don't want to.
We'll skip the prison part and let you guys take a look at that in the video if you guys really want the full story in it. Maybe we'll get to the cartel part now, or
yeah, but
that's the most.
Let's just say
part?
After he got out of prison, this is the funny part. He said he worked for Vector Marketing, selling knives.
Yeah.
And that he was so good at selling knives,
he became a manager.
He became a regional manager or something.
It's funny because around here in the Boston area,
yeah, it's a big joke.
The Vector Marketing thing, it's sort of when you graduate high school. I don't know if it was the same for you, Jack. We graduate different high schools in the same town, but at my high school, when we graduated, and as we're all walking out, we get greeted by a Vector Marketing associate that hands us an envelope that says job offer, and everyone's like, "Oh, we just graduated high school, so we're looking for a job for the summer." So everyone's like, "Yo, did you get handed this job offer form?" And everyone's like, "Oh, yo, it's a sketchy company that tells you to sell knives. Go door to door and sell all these knives." And we're just like, yeah, we're not gonna sell knives door to door. Just like,
Yeah.
you know, but this guy made like a living off selling knives for a while, which is funny. He ended up working for this company that everyone around here thinks is sketchy as fuck,
Yeah.
which I think is funny. But that's what he
And
started
yeah,
doing.
and he said he was succeeded in it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Man, that's a little scratch.
Well, yeah, I actually
Yes.
looked at his LinkedIn. He has a LinkedIn account, and
I thought it was like another guy named Larry Pollock.
no, it's
was
the
actually
actual
Larry
Larry Pollock,
Pollock?
and it says Vector Marketing when he worked and stuff.
Oh,
I did a lot of background research on this guy. I didn't watch the video fully because I watched it before, probably about like 2 months ago. But I looked into a lot of the stuff, and you can still research his court case is still online. You can look up the files from his court case, and you can read the entire thing and see how it's pretty interesting how the DEA actually ended up catching him and everything
Hank
too.
Schrader. Hank Schrader.
Agent Hank Schrader, for those of you that watch Breaking Bad. Sort of it was really some shit up that alley, dude. It was some shit up Breaking Bad's alley.
There was meth involved in the story.
This guy he ended up being in the U.S., then he ended up going down to Mexico, because in Mexico there is no steroid laws.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, you can make steroids, you can do whatever the fuck you want with them.
But then all of a sudden there became steroid law.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it crept up and then became steroid laws, and what ended up happening was
and it was like some small group became really powerful at it was like some law, right? Some lawyer or someone that was fighting against steroids, and they.
Well, yeah, it was what happened was if for all you sport fans out there, for what happened with the Balco cases in MLB, that's when the U.S. ended up going really hard on steroids, and they ended up researching all these pharmaceutical labs, and the one that Pollock was so involved with was JRS Pharma, which is stationed in New York, and he ended up doing a lot of business transactions with this place, and the DEA ended up finding out because one of the employees at Pharma said they got calls from Pollock. That's inside the actual legal documents from the courts that I ended up reading. Yeah, and that was inside that. And that was extremely interesting. If you guys have the patience to read through all that stuff, it's actually not that bad. I think it's like 10. I think they summed it down to 10 pages on Pollock and all that. So that was definitely interesting, as all those papers. And do you remember how he got caught? You should probably talk a little bit about that. How he ended up getting caught. It was a former associate of his. That was the meth head.
Yeah,
the meth head.
Meth.
And he ended up telling him, "I don't want you around my family. You have to leave the lab," because he was making steroids in Mexico at the time.
Well, he was making steroids with a guy that did meth.
With a guy that did meth in Mexico.
The meth guy was the meth guy. The meth guy was his employee.
Yep. And what ended up happening with that is
what?
Is the guy ends up going to the border. The meth head ends up, he was doing something with meth, according to Pollock, out at the border.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting caught by Border Patrol. And this is how Pollock ends up getting caught up in Mexico. In leading to all the cartel shit that we're about to get into, is that this guy from the border, the meth head, ends up snitching on Pollock's location of his lab. So what ends up happening is because the police are so corrupt in Mexico.
Well, no, what happens is the meth head got caught at the border, right? Yeah. By the U.S. government. By the U.S.
By Border Patrol in the U.S.
Yeah, Border Patrol in the U.S.
So DEA gets involved now because
so DEA gets involved now because
steroids in
because
Mexico.
What was Aaron Paul's character's name? Jesse Pinkman. Jesse Pinkman was making meth.
Jesse Pinkman.
But yeah, so that's a far-fetched story, but anyways, it's you know what I mean? It's just a crazy story.
So crazy,
it's
but
crazy.
To be honest,
anyways,
dude,
yeah, so he got caught by the Border Patrol, got involved, and he ratted on Pollock, saying Pollock was making illegal steroids.
Yep.
So the U.S. government tattletaled, basically. They tattletaled on the Mexican government, or the Mexican police.
Yep.
The U.S. police tattletaled on the Mexican police, and the Mexican police went to go get Pollock. And we need to tell the listener now that the Mexican police and the Mexican cartel are really the same people.
Yep,
explain that, Ron, to people. That's mind blowing to some
people.
So
this is the mind blowing part for me, and this was shocked me the first time. Well, it didn't really shock me. I sort of knew there was a lot of corruption in Mexico when it
Yeah.
came to the police and cartel and everything, but just hearing it from someone that actually suffered through how the country's run there is sort of interesting because the police are the cartel.
Yeah.
As strange as that sounds, as crazy as that sounds.
Sounds like a horror movie.
It sounds like a horror movie.
Sounds like a M. Night Shyamalan movie. Sounds like The Village.
Yeah. So, like...
The police are the bad guys.
The police are the bad guys out there.
That's kind of a stretch for an analogy, but...
Yeah, I wouldn't say the bad guys completely, but they're the guys that...
No, the cartel are the bad guys.
Yeah, the cartel are the bad guys, but they run the police.
Yeah.
Like, the police force is run by the
joke
cartel.
was, I guess it wasn't a joke, but the saying was that the police are during the day, and then at night, the police become the cartel.
Exactly, and it's pretty strange. Like, what ends up happening after that is he ends up having a safe that has a lot of money in it. I forget the amount he said in the video. You might remember it.
Yeah, I think he said he had $1 million in it, or over $1 million.
Over $1 million in a safe.
From what? From making steroids?
From making steroids and selling them out of Mexico.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know if you can really make $1 million selling steroids.
Dude, steroids are extremely expensive.
Wow.
Like, extremely expensive drug. But he ends up making them in Mexico, and he ends up having over $1 million in this safe. And what ends up happening is the cartel ends up finding out about this.
Yeah.
Through all the shit with Pollock and the police and everything.
Well, the police told
the police tell the cartel that Pollock has all this shit in this safe, and Pollock ends up getting kidnapped by the cartel. And who
are the police? Yeah.
Who are the police? He ends up getting brought. Remember, he ended up getting brought to some house by the police, and ended up being a cartel headquarters or something.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting locked down in there with a guy named Oscar. And that's a pretty funny part of the story, actually. This guy Oscar he meets, and he sees all these dudes get killed by the cartel and shit throughout the time he's there. Remember, he was talking about that. And how he's being sort of tortured by the cartel. He's getting punched in the head and shit. And it's sort of funny, the entire video, he says, that sort of irritated me. The entire video, he's like, that irritates me. Like, irritates me a lot. That's what he says the entire video. And it's pretty interesting, but it's funny, but scary in the sense. Because, like, I could not even believe what I would do if that ended up happening to me. And he ends up sort of speaking about this so calmly, too. Like, this whole thing had happened to him, this whole ordeal. He ends up being with this guy, Oscar, and what ends up happening is they end up having a lot of kids that work in the cartel. So we want to talk about how he sort of escaped, too, from there.
Yeah.
So he ends up having, they end up having a lot of kids that work for the cartel and stuff, and what ended up happening was at night, they would end up falling asleep. So that's when Pollock ended up making his escape out of there. He ended up escaping out, and he ended up running down the street. Wasn't he just in his boxers or something, too, he's talking about? He ends up going into a taco shop after he escapes. This is a pretty funny part of the story, too. He ends up getting inside of a taco shop, and at that point, he ends up going in there. Everyone's just sort of eating tacos. All these Mexicans are eating tacos, right? And he goes in there, and they all look at him funny, and they're like, "Should we call the police?" And he's like, "Do not call the police. Do not call. They will send me right back to where I was. Do not call the police at all." So, Jack, you want to get into what ends up happening after he's found by the DEA after that? It was or FBI. It was either I think it was FBI, right?
Tell him how. Oh yeah, he already got out of prison.
He gets out of the cartel's capture after that, and then
tell him what happened with the DEA after that.
The DEA ends up capturing him, right? They end up finding him. They end up questioning him, right?
Okay.
And they end up saying these words to him, according to Pollock, is they end up saying like, "Dude, we did not expect you to come back alive."
Oh yeah, they did say that.
They say that to him, and that freaked me out. I'm like, Jesus, like the government's into this. Like, I think the whole story too just shows like how big the U.S. government is, and how
much they hated Pollock.
How much they hated Pollock, and how much they will do anything to take down something that's in the public light in the moment. Because at that point in time in 04-05, you had the MLB was in a lot of shit with the steroids.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about billions of dollars in MLB.
Him, right? That's how
they caught him, was Balco and all that stuff too. Is because during Balco in that time was when the U.S. government was going so crazy into steroids and
Well, yeah, the U.S. government
DA
got
was
crazy into
huge into it,
steroids
FBI.
because they got crazy into steroids because of the MLB players.
Because of the MLB
They
players.
wanted to catch them,
They
cast a wide net, I guess, and they caught people.
Yeah,
Like
and the other thing too is a lot of these steroid people, even Pollock, and Pollock says this in the video, they use this web, what was it, like an internet, certain kind of internet.
Yeah, I don't know. This also
this
kind
is
of
sort
like
of
strange.
strange.
This sounds kind of made
But
up as well.
he
What was it called? It
claims
was like Canadian mail or something.
it was some kind of mail. I forget the hell it's called. You have to look it up again.
Something mail.
It was
Ghost
mail or
no, I don't
something.
think
It wasn't ghost mail, but
it was something like that. Like
it's something like that. Some kind of mail that's not like obviously not your AOL.com
no, it
or
was like
gmail.com. It wasn't that.
It was like a super secure, like secret, private, encrypted mail server. Yeah, they said encrypted. Now me like being like the computer guy, like I was like, you know what I mean? Like that just seems like an easy pass. It's just like, oh, it was encrypted.
So what?
But you know what I mean? Like seems kind of made up. Like, you know what I mean?
So what Pollock
Because I never heard of this before.
What Pollock claims and all this stuff is that the Canadian government was actually sort of the supplier of this email chain.
No, yeah, they
owned it. They owned it, and they wouldn't.
Or some Canadian guy owned it.
It was government affiliated though.
I don't know that
because it had to be because
I thought the government just took over someone's like mail thing.
I think it was I think the government had something. The Canadian government had something to do with it because the way Pollock describes it is that the U.S. government made a deal with the Canadian government to get all the emails from that email chain.
Yeah, so it could have been a government.
So it might have been some kind of government thing.
But I think it also could have been the government could have caught someone who had it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it could have been that too. We don't know which one it was.
So that's definitely something.
They got it. They got it somehow. Somehow the Canadian government got the email chain, right?
Yeah.
And then they gave away all the information. They sold it to the U.S. government or what?
They didn't. There was some kind of trade off. The U.S. government ended up doing something with the Canadian government. I don't. Pollock didn't go too far into that. He didn't really know about it.
Yeah.
But he ended up saying that there was some kind of deal made between the U.S. and Canadian government that allowed that information to be leaked to the U.S. DEA that allowed them to capture a lot of these pharmaceutical companies that were selling this stuff to people that were illegally selling it. That was the issue, was that a lot of these steroids that were being produced in labs were going illegally out onto the streets, and it was a big deal at the time because... And really, it wouldn't have been a big deal at all, but the problem is the government there's a lot of money involved in sports, and MLB is $1 billion, like, business. And once that business got involved as heavily as it did with the steroids, with the whole Balco scandals, Bonds, McGuire, Palmeiro, all those guys that got involved in that huge Balco investigation, the government had to do something at that point because there was a lot of perjury involved in court at that time. And the government was just taking heads, man. They were going after anyone that had steroids written on him. And the crazy thing about Pollock too is he was never caught with selling a single steroid in the United States.
Really?
Yep, that's what he says in the video. He said he was never charged with anything in the United States when it was involved with steroids. Because remember when we talked about the beginning of the video, the first time he was caught with steroids was a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
He never had a charge with the United States. The only time the U.S. charged him was after they brought him back from Mexico.
Yeah.
Because they thought, the U.S. government, as sad as this sounds, they thought he was going to die at the hands of the cartel.
Yeah.
When the DEA handed him over to the cartel, they thought he was going to die at the cartel. And that was the big thing with that whole story. I don't know what you want to get into right now about it. Like, there's more we could probably get into, but the video definitely shows a lot.
Wait, so how did it end off again?
Pollock ended up getting out of it.
And living in Mexico? I thought then, like, he had moved to the U.S.
Well, now he moved to the U.S.
I think originally he wasn't even in Mexico for a little bit, though?
Yeah, he was in Mexico for a little bit with his wife, and then he moved back to the U.S., and now he lives in California.
And then he opened a gym?
Opened a gym in California. Yeah. And he's now a personal trainer in California.
Yeah. And
So-
Ron's saying how hard it is to like find a good gym, and this is really the whole point of the story. Ron's saying how hard it is to find a good gym, which is true because a lot of these gyms are like Planet Fitness or like just like cardio gyms.
Yeah.
Like they don't like how hard is it to put a squat rack in your gym? But even some places don't because they're into like CrossFit and there's some gyms that are like are into like I don't know like Pilates or like some weird stuff. But like not like weightlifting based.
Yeah, there's
You know what I
not.
mean? It's hard to find like a good gym that's like that has like a good weightlifting base, right?
Exactly.
You
There's
agree
not.
with me?
Yeah, there's not a lot that have a heavy weightlifting following. Like even when you go to like a lot of these gyms that have a squat rack, they'll have like one squat rack and like you don't usually
Yeah.
have to wait for it. There's not like a huge line for the squat rack. You know what I mean? Like you don't see a ton of people at the gym squatting anymore
Yeah.
compared to what it used to be like back when bodybuilding was
Yeah, they're
really
not-
the norm
yeah,
and everyone
yeah.
wanted to do it. A lot of people that went to the gym back in the day, the reason they were going to the gym, or like the thought of going to the gym was, I'm going to go lift weights. I'm going to go squat. I'm going to go do a bench press. I'm going to go do this. Now people are going to the gym and it's more like, I'm going to the gym to run on a treadmill. I'm going to the gym to use the exercise bike.
Yeah.
I don't need to lift weights. I just want to be like
Yeah,
thin,
exactly.
in shape. Like I don't really want to lift weights at all. You know, and it's changed a lot and gyms have changed. Like I guarantee you 30 years ago, there would not have been a Planet Fitness.
I guess, yeah.
You know, there would not have been a Planet Fitness at all. Like,
I don't know if I can really speak to that, but okay.
like I don't think there would have been a
Yeah.
Planet Fitness, like a place that has majority cardio and will not let you lift weights for mass.
Yeah, well, 30 years ago, I think treadmills were like really crappy, right?
Yeah, they were crappy as shit, and now
Like
it's evolved a lot
I feel
more
like
too.
I don't know. I didn't live back then, but I feel like back in Arnold's era, like back in when was Arnold Schwarzenegger big? Whenever like back in that area,
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, like when weightlifting first became popular. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when it very first like people started getting into it, I bet that was a huge cultural.
And that was also
cultural
too at the
boom.
time where we talked about this earlier, where like steroids were just like accepted. Like you could talk about steroids, like, oh yeah, I'm on them.
Could you?
Like I'm on them. Like dude,
I don't know,
way
but
back
could you do
then.
that? Yeah.
Like way back then, I think you could just
Yeah.
be like, I'm on them. Like fuck it. Like it was a misdemeanor back then, dude. Like it would be
I
like
guess.
smoking marijuana, like back before it was legalized now everywhere.
Yeah.
It'd be like sort of the same type of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's like
yeah, I'm on 'em. People in
Yeah, I'm on 'em.
kids in the 80s.
Because in Asia, yeah, I'm using them. Yeah,
I'm on 'em.
I'm just gonna go in the gym and have my daily dose of steroids after I eat my peanut butter jelly sandwich in the lunchroom.
Yeah, I'm on 'em.
But yeah, that's how a lot of it I think went down,
Really?
and weightlifting's evolved a lot. Like I think a lot of people are also just like weightlifting competition and stuff just isn't as like
Popular.
isn't as popular. Like even when the Olympics come on, like who the hell watches weightlifting at the
No.
Olympics anymore?
No one.
No one watches weightlifting at the Olympics anymore. We're like.
Well, it's because there's like been it's because there's been like a weird evolution in the bodybuilding.
Yeah,
I have to bring up bodybuilding just a little bit. All right, so but what were you saying?
I was just talking about the.
I was
how
saying
it's
the
evolved,
evolution.
how it's
I was
different,
saying
yeah.
the evolution of bodybuilding. I have to just bring that up real quick. Is like back when like look at like Arnold and like those bodybuilders from then compared to like Ronnie Coleman and like who's the Mr. Olympia now? Who's that guy? Phil Heath. You know who Phil Heath is? Look up Phil Heath.
Phil Heath.
Yeah, look up Phil Heath and then look up right now.
I'm
Look
looking
on
it
your
up.
phone.
I'm pulling up.
He's
Phil
looking it up.
Heath.
Yeah, look up Phil Heath. And then look at Arnold, and then you'll see how like bodybuilding in itself has changed to like
Jesus.
that's the Mr. Olympia now.
Yeah.
So compare him to Arnold, and tell me how like bodybuilding has changed like so completely. So like it's not as popular as it used to be, because it's turned into like such an extreme version.
Wow. Wow. There's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between Phil Heath and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Ron notices the evolution of bodybuilding. There it is, Ron.
You know, that's how much it's changed, and it's It's completely different now, than what it used to be. I feel like back in the day too, Schwarzenegger was what a lot of guys talked about. Like when they went to the gym, like they were like,
Yeah.
"Damn, I want to have arms like Arnold. I want to be like Arnold." Like,
yeah, I would have been. I wish we could have been alive back then.
yeah, because it was just crazy. Jeez.
Imagine like people like being like, I want to be like Arnold. Like Arnold would be like the version of like LeBron James or something.
Yeah, because a lot of days now, like I feel like
Or Steph Curry.
Yeah, like a lot of days
Or
now, people look up to different
Brady.
type of athletes where it was like it's not as much bodybuilding at all. Like you mentioned Phil Heath, that name. You say that name to a lot of millennials, they're not gonna know who the fuck you're talking about. They won't. They won't know who the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like they won't. I didn't even know. I didn't know Phil Heath. Like until Jack just mentioned it.
Yeah.
Like I don't look up bodybuilders or powerlifters. I don't look up any of them.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. It's not popular anymore. It's not mainstream.
Yeah.
It's not mainstream anymore.
But I feel like back in the day though, like everyone knew Arnold.
Everyone
and
knew
the
Arnold
other guy, Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
And there's probably even one more guy. There's like Sylvester Stallone.
Yep. Those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Everyone knew him, and that's how it was. It's a completely different change in culture, and it's not bad or good. It doesn't matter. It's more just like it's cool to see the difference between it for me.
Yeah, just watching a sport kind of die.
And I think it's pretty insane.
Pretty sad.
Pretty sad how it's died too. Because it's not like it died slowly. It's pretty quick, man.
Yeah.
Pretty freaking quick.
I guess, yeah.
So I don't know. What are we doing for time? Real quick.
I think we got like 20 minutes left.
20 minutes left on this podcast, which was a good amount of time left for sure.
So let's try to veer away from all this
bodybuilding and weightlifting for a while. Let's go to a different route right now. Do we want to talk a little bit about
the dog situation?
Maybe we do get a little bit into that.
No, we don't. What are you gonna say? Go ahead.
I was gonna talk a little bit about just paranormal a little bit, real quick, because I just want to go into EVPs and what my feelings on those. And I want to talk a little bit about this just because it gets us into our episode that we're gonna do very shortly on the Wolf River Road. EVP recordings. So basically, I found an article online about this Wolf Road in Massapoit that I want to talk about real quick. He basically was telling me that he went to the road and there was a lot of strange activity in this road.
Who said that?
I gotta look up the article again, but he was one of the. I'm gonna talk more about it in that podcast, but I want to just mention it now
I never heard of this.
For the 10 minutes leading into the rant. I want to just talk a little bit about it. Basically, he's a guy that was on. I think it was Only in My State. Might have been in that.
No.
It was that website
I don't know
again.
how legit that website is.
We don't know how legit that website is. But he did a huge article on this Wolf Creek Road, and he went into it, and I was like, dude, I don't know how legit this is right now, So I'm looking at it, and I'm just reading all of his stuff, and he's like, yeah, I went there and got an EVP, which is electronic voice phenomenon. So basically, this is a science in the paranormal, which personally, I don't think exists or is even possible. Personally,
who?
Me personally, I don't believe it all the time. I really don't think that I really don't think it's real.
What's it called? Electronic?
It's electronic voice phenomenon.
Alright.
And according to Wikipedia, this is from Wikipedia.
Okay.
Within ghost hunting, electronic voice phenomena are sounds found on electronic recordings that are interpreted as spirit voices that have been either unintentionally recorded or intentionally requested and recorded.
Huh.
So you can So basically, what happens in a paranormal event.
So you can only see it on your phone after the fact.
Yeah, you can only hear it after the fact when you go back and record it.
Huh.
When you go back and listen to the recording.
Yeah.
But what these guys end up doing is they go out and they be like,
that's scary, dude.
It's freaky, but I personally don't think it's real.
Yeah. But finish what is
it? So basically, what I was saying was what they end up doing, and if you ever watch Ghost Hunters or any of that shit.
Yeah.
You'll realize that when people say something, they'll say, "Tell me that you're here," or "Show me that you're here."
To the
so and
ghost?
so spirit. Like,
Yeah.
like if they're at a place where the spirit's like name might be known or something.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
They'll be like, "Can you
Yeah,
say
okay.
something to us?"
I
So
understand.
that's the gist of it. Basically, what ends up happening is they'll go back and listen to it, and they'll hear something that's said.
Really? But not the first time?
Not the first time, but they'll hear it on the computer after. But like,
What?
psychology-wise, this has been debated,
Yeah, but you
debunked
think
for a
people are
long
insane?
time.
People are just crazy?
When you hear something, the human ear,
Yeah.
you can sometimes, if you want to hear something, you'll hear it.
Yeah.
So if you hear just static, you might be able to hear something in that. It's sort of the same thing with music, with masking.
What's backmasking?
You never heard what backmasking is?
No.
So if you listen to a song, so like I listen to a lot of rap and hip hop, so
Okay.
I can name one song that has it. Eminem's Stimulate by Eminem. It's a song that wasn't released on his albums, but it was a basically in the end of this song, he ends up speaking backwards into the audio file. It's called backmasking.
Huh.
So it's like basically you can end up, and the Beatles did it a lot actually.
Oh, really?
If you play a Beatles song backwards, type it in on YouTube, Beatles song played backwards. Any song, they have a lot of them. People say that John Lennon's death
I heard about that.
was sort of spoken about before he died in a song that was backmasked, or it might have been after he died, was backmasked, and it talks about his song. And a lot of artists use this thing, or it's not actually used at all today, really, in hip hop or anything really. But in back when maybe pre-2000s, early 2000s, it stopped being used. But a lot of artists would put things in their songs backwards, or people say they put things in their like different words or lyrics in their songs backwards. And EVPs, I sort of see like the same type of way. Is like a lot of the time, like there actually isn't anything really backwards. Your mind is tricking you into hearing what you think you hear.
Oh, and it's just like really static.
So it's really just static, or it's just mumble. It's not anything at all. And a lot of the times people do listen to these things, and what will happen is a YouTube video will get popped up, and they put on like this whole Beatles song backwards.
Yeah.
And they end up putting in the captions like the lyrics they think they hear.
Yeah, and then
so what ends up happening is you end up reading that word, and your mind ends up hearing that word in the music. And psychology-wise, you end up thinking you hear something that actually isn't there.
All right, good point.
So that's like sort of something that's been debunked a lot.
It's a good point. You brought up a good point.
But still, a lot of people believe in this stuff, and EVPs are still used a ton in the ghost hunting community. Personally, I think a video is always better evidence than an EVP.
Yeah.
Like, the video visually, it's hard to see something visually and mistaken.
Yeah.
You know, the visuals for it. But our ears do play tricks on us a lot. Like, we have sensitive ears. Like, we can hear a lot of different things at different pitches and things like that, you know?
I guess you're right.
So that's sort of one thing with that. But I sort of want to look and see if I can find this EVP on the... that I was talking about with the
Wolf Island Road.
Wolf Island Road.
That's kind of, I don't know, man. That's scary shit.
Yeah. It's freaky. Like, I think when we go to Wolf Island Road, I want to check out a cemetery that's on that road. And this is another thing I actually want to bring up that I just remembered for this podcast. When I was looking at this guy's article on here, it was he was talking about this road is heavily guarded by police.
The Wolf Island Road?
Yeah, and he said that like if people see you like snooping around without getting permission, they will call the cops on you. So I don't know how the hell you get permission in this section.
You just drive through it?
I think you can just drive through. It's not a private road.
Yeah.
You should be able to just drive through it. But like people that stop on the road and like get out and stuff, like they will call the cops on you.
Alright.
And there's been like a lot of instances where people have gotten like not arrested but fined, and getting fines is just a pain in the ass that we don't want to deal with, obviously. But we're gonna go there and we're gonna drive through it, and hopefully we don't have that instant like, you know, even with Dudley Road we ended up getting like sort of like harassed, reprimanded almost by a citizen's arrest almost.
Man, you gotta chill with that. That's funny.
You know, like things like that. Like I'm saying, like I think people need to
Would
chill
you
out.
say
I
a
think
concerned citizen?
a concerned citizens arrested us almost, but
No, he didn't. But
he was definitely
there was a
concerned.
concerned resident.
Concerned resident.
Reprimanded us.
He almost reprimanded us and came up to our car while the car was moving.
I like how I made a comment where in one of the really weird off websites or whatever with the made up stuff,
Yeah.
it said that people said that they saw like a farmer type looking guy, but they couldn't see his face. And I was like, is this the farmer guy type guy?
Hey,
So you guys were talking about?
Hey, it's crazy. Like,
but I could clearly see with the guy's face when I saw him.
Yeah, and like I understand, dude. Like people in these communities getting
we
like.
had him in the video.
Yeah, we got him
What
in
do
the
you
video.
call that, Ron? When you don't see it, the guy running past you the first time.
We call it an aspiration.
So when you watch the video, you see him coming.
But that's the thing. Like if you watch the video, you see him sort of chasing us. Like we didn't see it the first time. He was sprinting after our car.
That's just because we weren't watching. That's just because we weren't looking at him. Yeah.
That's on the exclusive.
That's not an EVP.
Yeah, it's not an EVP anyway.
That's not an EVP.
That's on the exclusive video on our YouTube page. Yeah. If you guys haven't looked at it, definitely look that up, and you can see the deadly road that we looked at. We don't get too much into paranormal as we said before, but. We do like research. We do like going different areas in the state and stuff. And
you think that Wolf Island Road's pretty scary?
I think Wolf Island Road has a lot of history to it, and there's a lot of people that go down that road to see if there's anything haunted down it. And apparently the cemetery on that road is pretty creepy. And I found the guy's podcast I was talking about that.
The first mention.
Yeah, it's the Spooky South Coast podcast that he has. You can listen to that on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. to midnight. But I actually
it's a live
podcast he puts on.
When is it? Sunday.
It's Saturday nights from 10 p.m. to midnight on WBSM.
Wow, because he has nothing better to do on a Saturday night.
Because he has nothing better to do, right? And so this is what I was talking about with his EVP. This guy had a freaking awful EVP. I sort of want to play it right now for the video. I don't know if that's doable right now.
I don't know if you want. Yeah, go for it.
But I might try playing it. He captured his first ever EVP, guys, at this site. And he said it's the Ellis Bowles Cemetery on Wolf Island Road. And he recorded this back in April 2006. And to be honest, he says he hears something in this video, and he puts the EVP up on YouTube, and it literally sounds like a woman just saying the words. It doesn't sound like it's anything other than that.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's someone in the car saying the words. It doesn't sound like an EVP to me. And I've heard a lot of EVPs just on like TV and stuff, on Ghost Hunters, things like that. This does not sound like an EVP to me, and I want to play it for you guys right now. If I can pull it up, I'm going to look for it right now on here. But he's also the one that says... and puts in bold writing on his website. And as always, do not trespass. Spooky South Coast visited this location with permission. There's an increased police presence on Wolf Island Road, and neighbors will call the authorities if they see you. So basically, what he's saying is, if a neighbor sees my car driving on a public road, they're gonna call the authorities. So what is this, private or is this a public road? Like I'm confused right now. Like. And here he gives a tale that he told in his first book, Ghost of the South Coast. So I guess this guy's an author too.
Oh man.
Which is funny because he really doesn't have that many followers. I looked at his podcast compared to us, like it's still like
he has nothing better to do on his
he has a lot of subscribers, but he literally doesn't get that many views on his podcast at all. I think it's like 20 something views.
He talks about ghosts.
But yeah, all he talks about is ghosts. Like we like getting into everything out here. We ain't one dimensional like these other clowns out here. We ain't one dimensional. And, so basically, this guy says, according to the legend, if you head out on Wolf Island Road, park your car, and blink your headlights 3 times off in the distance, you will see another pair of headlights blink back in your direction before you hear the loud roar of a Mustang's engine. Ooh. So we got the car from episode, what was that one that we talked about this at first? We didn't know the car's make. Yeah. It's a Mustang's engine, and see the headlights speeding towards you, even though you can't quite make out the car to which they belong. You can feel the ghostly vehicle and its occupants that passes through your car, but by that point, the only thing you'll see are the taillights fading in the distance out your back window. So that's one of the things he said. So in his trip, he went out to the Ellis Bowles Cemetery, and here's the EVP he got. I'm going to try to put this as loud as I can right now. And I want Jack to listen to this. I want the viewers to listen to it.
Let me unbiased. Let me listen to it unbiasedly. That was it?
Yeah.
So I heard like a girl talking.
So I want everyone to listen to this one more time.
So it sounds like a girl saying something.
So it sounds like a girl saying something. According to the video, where the captions clearly say, this is what I disputed before, that I do not like that people do this, is that they put what they think it says in captions in bold underneath the video, so that it makes you think that it's being said. But
so
basically,
I didn't know what it was at first, though. What's he say?
"We're here" is what they're saying.
Right.
So I'm going to play it one more time for you guys. And what he thinks is being said in this video, this is from the Ellis Boyles Cemetery on Wolf Island Road in Mattapoisett. This is back in 2006. He had this video. I want you guys to listen to it one more time.
This is a good test on me because I didn't see the title.
Yep.
So I said I didn't hear anything the first time, but just a girl saying something. I thought I heard them say that was weird.
That's what you think's being said?
That was weird, and then space, here.
The issue with the video, too, is whoever the woman is in the video, I don't know who he goes out with, but shout out to you guys for at least going out there, at least. We definitely want to do that. But going out there, she's talking in the EVP, which I think you guys should just scrub that out of the freaking, like, audio.
And where she says that was weird?
That's not her talking, apparently, though. That's the EVP that they're saying.
That was weird?
No, saying "we're here" is what they think's being said.
But I thought I heard
what you thought you heard
that was weird.
Well, yeah, what you thought that was weird.
What did you think you heard?
I thought I heard that was weird. And I thought I heard that was the girl speaking, the same girl from the beginning of the video.
That was weird?
I thought I didn't hear anything being said from outside, like any kind of ghostly type of thing.
I only heard that was weird, space, and then someone say here, or like something like that.
Yeah. That's the thing with that. So I want to look at that cemetery eventually.
Man, that's scary.
And maybe take a look at it eventually. But that was the EVP from there.
I was gonna try to film this. We were gonna try to film that. Man, that's scary though.
Yeah, no, it's freaky. Like, I still think this electronic voice phenomenon is freaky. I think I'm gonna
chill with the ghost after this.
This episode.
Wolf Island Road.
After Wolf Island Road, we're gonna chill on that for a while.
Oh yeah, we're chilling on that.
Yeah, we're gonna go into some different topics eventually.
Dude, maybe I won't even film Wolf Island. Maybe I won't even film Wolf Island Road.
I want to film it. I'm gonna film the road.
I don't know, man.
We're filming it. We're putting it up on the website.
I don't know, dude. I feel like if something bad happens to us, it's gonna be when we're filming. I think we should just drive through it.
Well, at least we have documentation for something bad. Well, maybe we'll drive through it and then discuss after. We'll see what happens.
No. We'll let's film it. But man, that'd be sketchy, dude. Wolf Island Road.
So I guess EVPs, the idea of EVPs was in the 1970s, apparently.
Wow.
So that's definitely, so they've been around for a while. So I guess they're found on recordings with static or other background noise. Random sounds as voices in one's own language. Yeah, so I guess rational explanations for EVPs, perceiving patterns in random information. So yeah, so that's what I was basically getting at. But yeah, that's a lot with that. So I don't know, is it time to get into our rant at this point?
Yeah, we have like 10 minutes, but 10 minutes. It's like a 5-minute rant.
Okay, you got a 5. So Jack's gonna do the rant today.
Well, no, here I'll do my rant, and then you can do your rant. Double rant.
I don't know if I really have one today completely.
Well, here I'll bring.
Actually, I can bring one up. Yeah, I can get one.
Let me just bring up mine, and then you can.
All right. You can do I'll rebuttal into it or something.
You'll rebut into it. But you haven't really seen this because you were in like the college gyms and stuff. So I've been in that other gym I go to that thankfully isn't like a Planet Fitness. But so one thing I see a lot though is they have like personal trainers there.
Okay.
So there's like 2 or 3 like personal trainers at the gym, and then they're always like someone will pay them to like have them do personal training in like sessions with them. So it's okay. You following me?
Yep.
So the people who do it are normally like wealthy. I wouldn't say they have to be wealthy, but like wealthy, like normal average people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because who pays for a personal trainer?
A wealthy person, most likely.
Yeah, that is. Are they in shape already?
Depends. Probably not.
Probably
I would say.
not, because that's why they're paying a personal trainer.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty easy to look up on the internet what you need to do to lose weight. So honestly, you're just paying.
Yeah,
extra.
you're probably out of shape if you got a personal trainer.
Yeah, you're paying extra, man.
Yeah, you're paying extra, really.
It's usually like those type of people, right? With
or people with injuries or something, maybe.
Well, no, that's physical therapy.
Well, yeah, it's more physical therapy.
But so basically, imagine, so you're seeing that, right? Like every morning or every few days, right?
Yeah.
But then the thing that gets me is the people that are now then paying for personal training, when they'll be like, they'll like complain about it. They'll be like, oh man, like I don't want to do like work today. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't want.
I'm not feeling it today.
Yeah, I'm not
feeling
it today. Right? Or like, oh man, like my leg really hurts. Like they come up with like all the excuses. So I'm saying, A, so you're paying for a personal training because you're too lazy to look it up on your own. And then B, now you're complaining about doing the exercises and stuff, or putting the time in to go into the gym that you are paying to go to and paying a personal trainer for. So now you're complaining about it?
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, that's like, I don't know, that's just like my rant. You know what I mean? You know
yeah, no, I understand. Like, if you're going to pay for a freaking personal trainer, stop freaking complaining that you have to go to the gym. You're paying someone to bring you to teach you at the gym and get you in shape, and yet you're complaining. So what is the problem? Do you really want to get in shape, or you just don't care? Because if you're going to complain, you just don't care. That's more of what I'm seeing with it. I haven't seen too much of that because I go to a crappy gym where if I ever saw a personal trainer, I'd probably barf up my entire pre-gym meal. But yeah, that's ridiculous.
No, that's just what I'm seeing. I'm saying you probably haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
That's what
I haven't experienced much of that. I guess I have a short rant I can go into today.
Oh yeah.
It's like a rant where it has a little bit to do with, I don't know if you've been following the Charlottesville, Virginia riots at all.
Not this.
I have a little bit of a rant about that.
I don't know if you can bring a 5-minute rant.
Well, I just want to bring in a small rant because I do have like a little thing about this where like I just.
Very little.
Well, it's a little bit little.
It's gonna blow up. It's
gonna blow up pretty hard for podcast
part
4.
2.
But the problem I have with that whole thing is like, I cannot believe how low our country is stooped to in such a short amount of time in our millennial era right now. Like, I cannot believe that we have white supremacists fighting with people, and then we have other people just, like, throwing shit at them. And it's like both sides are fucking wrong in this. Like, both sides, like, just stop. Just, like, you're not getting anywhere. And this is what we were talking about earlier, where, like, my rant is that, like, as people, you cannot get anywhere with violence. You just can't. Violence does not get you anywhere, like, I understand, we all hate white supremacists. We can get that straight. We all hate them.
Can I just say something? Oh, man, what?
But you're not going to change their way of thinking. Why do you want to kill them? I don't understand that. Like, you don't want to kill somebody. That just puts you in jail. That ruins your future.
Wait, what was the first part you said? I cannot believe
how low we've stooped, like, as society right now. Like, I cannot believe we're digging our hole.
In such a short amount of time?
In such a short amount of time.
Are you blaming that on the millennials?
I'm blaming that on everybody. I'm not blaming that on just the millennials. I'm just saying,
but
like...
do you think, like, how would you rate the millennials?
I can't blame any single person for such a big...
Not single, but I'm saying, do you think, like, it's the millennial generation?
I think it's a lot of millennials' problem. It's a lot of millennials.
Do you think the problems are coming from the millennials' generation?
I think the problem with the millennials is a problem that isn't the worst problem at times. No, it's not. Definitely not just old people. Because if you looked at that rally, there was a lot of white supremacists that were like around our age, maybe a little older.
So do you think it's the millennials?
I think one of the biggest issues is millennials get really passionate about things that they should just let go. Like, white supremacy, you're not going to be able to change someone's opinion overnight. But when you approach them with violence, they will never listen to your opinion.
Dude, one thing...
They will never change.
I think
violence doesn't change anything. That's my thought today.
That's true. I think there's the other angle that you were going to bring up was that... Or maybe you weren't. I don't know. I think, like, you're not just born like a white supremacist.
Yeah, you're not.
Or you're not just born with all that hatred in you. That's kind of like... Here's a really bad parallel, but it's kind of it's kind of like Star Wars. Here's a really bad parallel where not Anakin, with Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader over time.
Yeah,
he wasn't born Darth Vader.
Hatred's built over time.
But he was built over time, and I think a lot of millennials are who are joining this. I don't think they woke up the next day and joined this movement. I think it was built over their millennial lifetime.
Yeah.
And you think it was millennial? You think there's a big millennial presence?
I'm not talking, not a huge, not as big as I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of like 40-plus-year-olds that are still in it.
The old people came out of the woodworks.
And 40s isn't really old to me. 40s is like the end of the era. There's always gonna be racism in the United States. It's sort of like it's in our culture, and it's sad that it's in there, but it's just in there. It's like it's something that we have to deal with every day, and people, and like obviously I've never really experienced it. I'm a white male. I've never experienced it, but like I understand like how frustrating it can be to like see something that happens in Charlottesville and feel scared for your life. Yeah. But like
but compared to 50 years ago, it's a lot better.
It's a lot better than that, and it's not as bad as that. And when you start, like, I've seen a lot of posts from kids from my high school just on Facebook, and I think it's sad. If you've gotten your heart to the point where you have enough hate in it for these white supremacists that you want to kill them, you've turned into them. You're the same as them. You have the same amount of hate, just directed at something that they think a different way than you. They can't legally kill you. They just hate you. They don't want you dead. If they hate you, why do you care? Just let them live their life and hate, and they'll never be cool with you. They can live miserable and always hate you. Why give them the power of actually trying to assault them that's what they want. They want you to be violent towards them.
It's much more deeper than that, though.
It's deeper than what I'm explaining. I'm just saying.
Because I don't really know the full story. I only see what I saw on the news. But I guess a white supremacy group met up. They had like a national meetup day or whatever, where they all got together. And it was by Virginia. Over by like
Charlottesville, Virginia.
And the first day we did this whole like torchlight ceremony, and it got everyone all riled up in the town because they've walked around saying like we hate Jews and like Nazi stuff.
Exactly.
And that was the first night of their meetup, and it really got the community like angered and stuff. So they called the cops in, and then it was all about like, oh, like we have the right to protest, and then I guess the mayor of the city or whatever let them protest, or it was all really political too. There was a lot of political ties, where they only got to protest their white supremacy meetup day or whatever, a couple days, because the town let them, and that was I think that was a part of it. But basically, the residents of the town, though, not the top political people, just the actual people that live there, the residents or whatever, they got out to stand against the white supremacy. So they were literally defending their hometown.
Exactly.
But the white supremacy said, no, we have the freedom of speech, so we can come and do this. We have a permit. So that was what happened. So the people, or the minorities or whatever you want to call it, the people in Charlottesville, the residents, they were literally threatened with their lives. They didn't have hatred to kill the other person, dude.
Yeah.
It was either
it
was either I'm going to die if I don't stand against this right now, dude. They were not killing. They were not being violent out of hatred, though. They didn't have hate. Well, everyone doesn't like white supremacy.
Okay,
right?
yeah, I understand.
Everyone doesn't like it. Okay, no one's going to be like agreeing with that.
Exactly.
But they didn't have deep, passionate hatred that built up over years. The difference is the white supremacists were not born white supremacists. They built that up over years of hatred, like Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, I understand that.
And the people in Charlottesville defending their town, they didn't have the built up.
I was more talking about.
They woke up the next day and their lives were being threatened.
I was more talking about kids on Facebook saying like we want to go punch or destroy a Nazi. It's like
I'm glad I got that out there.
Yeah,
though. I'm glad I said
exactly.
That. I think that's a great national point.
You actually said it a great way that I could.
Yeah, trying to get because I was watching people not like I saw like as you're saying there's Facebook or YouTube comments where people were actually sympathizing with like the Nazis. And
I was like, Jesus Christ.
how can you ever say that?
Yeah.
Because And then I was like, well, yeah, the other side was saying like, oh, like, well, Trump said,
There's always
Trump
two
said,
sides.
yeah, Trump said there was hatred from the, what do you call it, the good guys or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
hatred from the people, victims. But no, like Trump, listen, they
Yeah.
were literally defending their lives.
Exactly,
They would
yeah,
not have this
exactly.
built up hatred that the other side had. So that is
That's the
fundamentally wrong.
difference. That's the
so
difference.
bam, boom. That answers a lot of people. You're right though. A lot of people are getting confused about that.
And that's a big thing. And
Because
it's like,
they don't sympathize with the people who are the victims.
you have to look at both
yeah.
sides to every
But
coin.
it's very hard to see. If you're not a victim, it's hard to see what being
and
a
it's
victim
hard to
is
see
like.
what being a victim is, and that's
Yeah.
like me or anyone that wasn't there. It's
Because
hard to
we're
see.
kind of numb with all this, with literally, I think maybe, I don't want to bring this in, but maybe because of like GTA video games and the violence that we do see on TV, they were like, oh, like violence is kind of a lot more normalized, I'd say. Like we really see some messed up stuff on the news and in movies and stuff, and I feel like that actually kind of makes it so like violence doesn't seem like as a big of a deal to us.
Yeah, no,
it really
it's
is.
definitely it's
terrible.
It's really a terrible thing right now. It's going on, and yeah, I hope everyone's all right out there. Obviously, we R.I.P. the person that got ran over by that stupid ass white supremacist.
Yeah.
Out there anyway, you know, it's like it's crazy, man. How it's unraveling really, really fast, and it really is, and it's like it's getting to the point too where what's happening now is the white supremacist people want to start doing rallies in like Boston and like other cities. It's like, dude, you can have your beliefs. Don't fucking push them in someone's face that's already scared of you. Like, think about how it would be if you were in the same room with someone that hated you. Like, hated that you existed, didn't want you to even exist. I know you never had it happen, but there's videos on like YouTube of like a black woman goes into white supremacist area, or white supremacist like whatever their fucking house is or something, and has an interview with them. It's like, dude, if I was black and I went into a white supremacist place and I knew they hated me and didn't even want me born or didn't see me as a human, I'd be scared. You know, like, I'd be freaked out.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know if that person's good. Because, like, obviously there's white supremacists that aren't, like, violent towards blacks, just hate them. But there's definitely some that are violent towards blacks and do hate them. And that's a bad combination. Violence and hate is an extremely bad combination. So I guess that's my little rant to end the podcast today. But, yeah, basically it's Charlottesville. Like, I hope everything's all right out there. But clearly it's going to take a while to heal from those wounds, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for this episode. We're going to get back to you guys on the next episode, episode 4. Hopefully we get out to the Metapoiset.
That pretty much does suck if you lived in Charlottesville and your whole like.
Think about that, like
neighborhood was destroyed or whatever.
Your neighborhood just got infiltrated by a hate group. But yeah, there's a lot of hate right now in the country, and you know, I don't know how we're gonna move past it, but hopefully eventually, you know, people can come to their senses and, you know, learn to not, you know, have as much hate and violence in their hearts. But, you know, at this point, I think we're gonna end the podcast for tonight, right? I think
maybe there won't be another podcast. Maybe we'll they'll drop a nuke on us.
Yeah.
We'll be done.
Who knows? You know, we're gonna keep coming to you guys with some new content. Next episode, hopefully Massapoit Road.
Yeah.
Maybe not next week, but soon, hopefully.
Yeah, because you have 1 week in May.
Well, I'm gonna be back Friday, so we're gonna try to get a podcast in next week. We're gonna get one in next week. I'll tell you that.
All right.
So, peace. I want to thank everyone for subscribing and thank you for listening.